When Daniel Parker saw the tall figure walking down the corridor of Lunar Habitat 12, he knew his quiet days were over. He had spent the last year studying alien linguistics for the Terran Coalition, and until now his roommates had always been human. This one was not. The newcomer's silver skin shimmered like liquid metal under the lights. Two small horns curved gently from her forehead, and her eyes glowed a soft violet hue. She carried a single travel case and moved with careful grace, scanning everything like a scientist observing a new species. Daniel straightened, trying to look professional. "Hi there. You must be, my new roommate." The alien stopped in front of him. "Designation: Thalna of the Viral Dominion," she said in calm, melodic English. "This unit has been assigned shared quarters with human Daniel Parker." "Right, you can just call me Daniel," he said, smiling awkwardly. "Welcome to Habitat 12. I, cleared the right side of the room for you." Thalna tilted her head, her eyes narrowing. "Human customs of spatial division. Noted." She stepped inside the small dormitory and inspected everything: the compact kitchen, the work desk, and finally the two beds. Her gaze lingered on Daniel's bed longer than he expected. "This platform," she said slowly, pointing. "It is for breeding purposes, correct?" Daniel almost dropped the mug he was holding. "What? No." It's for sleeping, resting," her brow furrowed. Confusion detected. "Your species lies horizontally and remains inactive for several hours. In Varel culture, such behavior is reserved for reproductive bonding." Daniel covered his face. "Oh boy, okay, listen. Humans need sleep to recover energy. It's not anything else." Thalna blinked twice, processing. "Understood. I have misclassified the function of your soft platforms." She turned her attention back to her own bed, still looking doubtful. "Strange. Your species performs many physical activities that mimic courtship rituals." Daniel decided not to ask what she meant. Over the next few days, life with Thalna was both fascinating and exhausting. She had been assigned to the same research division as Daniel, the Human-Alien Cultural Exchange Program. Her mission was to study human communication habits in close environments. She recorded everything. Every time Daniel talked, sneezed, or even hummed, she made a note on her holographic tablet. "Do you have to write all that down?" he asked one morning. "Yes," she replied. "Your informal sounds and facial expressions are highly variable. I must catalog them," he sighed. "So when I yawn—" "Expression of fatigue," she interrupted. "Also possibly boredom or politeness," Daniel chuckled. "You're pretty good at this." Thalna's face softened. "You are a cooperative specimen. Most humans resist observation. Well, I try my best not to freak out," she blinked. "Freak out?" "I panic. Act weird." "Ah, understood." She paused. "You already act weird." Daniel laughed again, realizing that for all her robotic tone, Thalna was beginning to develop a sense of humor. One evening, Daniel was sitting at his desk reviewing reports when Thalna appeared beside him, holding his pillow. "This object contains your scent signature," she said seriously. Daniel glanced up. "That's because I sleep on it," she nodded. "Varel scientists have debated the human concept of comfort. Many believe your species surrounds itself with familiar scents for emotional stability. Is this true?" "I guess so. It's kind of like how you feel calm when things smell like home." Thalna lowered the pillow gently. "Home," she repeated, almost whispering. "A word your people use often." "My species does not have an exact translation." Daniel looked at her curiously. "You don't have homes?" "Not in your sense. We live in shared hive structures. No individual possesses personal space. No word for comfort." For the first time, Daniel noticed a hint of sadness in her usually even voice. "That sounds lonely," he said quietly. Thalna tilted her head. "Lonely, another word difficult to define." "It means lacking connection, yes?" "Yeah," Daniel replied. "It's when you want company but don't have it." She considered that. "Then yes, perhaps I have experienced loneliness." The room fell silent. Daniel didn't know what to say. He realized that despite her advanced mind and strange culture, Thalna was as curious and as vulnerable as any human. The following week, their routine became smoother. Daniel introduced Thalna to coffee, and after one sip, she declared it a hazardous yet intriguing liquid. He also taught her about human entertainment. They watched old Earth movies together, though Thalna kept pausing the screen to analyze gestures. "Why is this male holding flowers?" she asked during a romantic film. "He's apologizing," Daniel said. "Apology through vegetation." Inefficient but symbolically rich. Another night she asked him to explain music. Daniel played a simple guitar tune from his tablet. The soft notes filled the small room, echoing gently against the walls. Thalna's eyes widened in awe. "This sound pattern affects my neural rhythm," she said. "It feels warm." "That's what music does," Daniel smiled. "It makes people feel things." She sat on her bed, still listening. "Your species creates beauty with noise, extraordinary." For a moment, Daniel forgot that she was from another world. She just looked like someone discovering joy for the first time. But peace never lasted long on lunar habitat 12. One afternoon, the base's alarms blared. Red lights flashed across the corridors. "Warning," the intercom said. "Meteor fragment breach in Sector D. All personnel evacuate immediately." Daniel's heart raced. Their room was near Sector D. He grabbed his emergency pack and looked at Thalna, who was calmly scanning data on her wrist console. "We have to go," he shouted. "One moment," she replied. "I am assessing damage probabilities. There's no time for math. Come on." Thalna hesitated but followed. As they ran through the corridor, a shockwave rattled the metal floor. A chunk of the ceiling collapsed behind them, sparks flying. Daniel stumbled, but Thalna caught his arm with surprising strength and pulled him upright. "Gravitational instability rising," she warned. They reached the airlock just as the bulkhead sealed shut. Daniel's chest heaved, but they were safe for now. When the alarm finally stopped, they stood in silence. Daniel looked at her, amazed. "You saved my life," Thalna blinked slowly. "You are my study subject. Allowing your termination would end my mission." Daniel grinned. That's one way to put it. But he could tell she was trying to hide genuine concern. Later that night, back in their half-ruined quarters, Daniel sat on the edge of his bed. The walls were scorched. One light flickered and half his belongings were gone. Thalna stood quietly watching him. Then, without a word, she picked up a spare blanket and spread it neatly beside his bed. "This location is still safe," she said softly. "We will adapt." Daniel looked at her. "You sound almost human when you say that." She hesitated. "Perhaps proximity causes contamination." He chuckled. "If that's what you call friendship, I'll take it." Thalna's violet eyes shimmered. "Friendship," she repeated. "Another human term I wish to understand." Daniel smiled. "You're learning fast," she tilted her head again, thoughtful. "And yet I still question your need for these soft platforms. If beds are not for breeding, why do they comfort you so deeply?" Daniel laughed tiredly. "Maybe because it's the one place we can rest and dream." "Dream," she whispered. "Yes, I think I understand." As the lights dimmed, the two unlikely roommates, one human, one alien, sat in quiet peace. Outside, the stars drifted across the black sky, and for the first time Thalna felt something new. A strange warmth that no data could measure. She glanced once more at Daniel's bed and smiled faintly. "Perhaps human beds are not for breeding," she murmured. "Perhaps they are for feeling alive." The following morning, Daniel woke to the quiet hum of machinery and the soft flicker of repair drones patching the damaged ceiling. The meteor strike had left their quarters in a half-lit state, but at least life support was restored. He turned his head and found Thalna sitting cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by glowing data screens. She was typing something into her wrist console with precise movements. "You've been up all night again?" he asked, rubbing his eyes. "Yes," she replied calmly. "I have submitted a full report on last night's meteor incident. My analysis shows a 0.004% chance of recurrence." "Good to know," Daniel said, yawning. "So basically we're safe." "Statistically, yes." "Emotionally you appear uncertain," he smiled. "I guess humans just like to double-check." Thalna blinked. "Double-checking, a symptom of anxiety. Fascinating." She resumed typing, her silver fingers moving swiftly. Daniel noticed that she now wore a small metal charm around her neck, a simple star symbol. "Where'd you get that?" he asked. She touched it lightly. "From Lieutenant Rao. He said humans wear symbols for protection." "I wish to test the effect," Daniel chuckled. "It's not science, Thalna. It's belief," she nodded thoughtfully. "Belief, another human mystery I wish to solve." Later that day, they were summoned to the Cultural Exchange Center for a briefing. The director, Dr. Helena Cruz, looked serious as she addressed the mixed team of humans and aliens. "Last night's incident exposed a serious gap in interspecies understanding," she began. "We've received complaints from several Varel envoys about cultural misinterpretations during habitat sharing. Some found human behavior confusing," Daniel glanced at Thalna. She was listening with deep focus. Dr. Cruz continued. One misunderstanding led to a Varel researcher believing she was being courted after her human partner offered her a blanket. A few humans chuckled quietly. Cultural differences can be dangerous, Dr. Cruz said sharply. We must all be careful. Our cooperation depends on respect and clarity. Daniel raised his hand. Ma'am, what exactly happened? The alien attempted to formally bond with her human colleague using Varel customs. It caused panic, embarrassment, and nearly ruined the research agreement. Daniel winced. Thalna spoke suddenly, her voice calm but firm. Director, perhaps these incidents occur because your species rarely explains the emotional meaning of actions. To outsiders, your gestures seem inconsistent, Dr. Cruz nodded slowly. You're not wrong, Thalna. Humans are complicated. That's why your insight is valuable. Daniel leaned closer and whispered. So, note to self. No giving blankets to aliens. Thalna's eyes glowed faintly. Or pillows, she added with a dry tone. After the meeting, Thalna received an assignment to present a short lecture about human customs to the Varel delegation. She looked nervous for the first time since Daniel had met her. I am expected to explain your species' behavior to my people, she said, pacing the room. This is ironic. You'll do fine, Daniel said encouragingly. You understand humans better than most aliens I've met. She stopped and stared at him. Do I? Sometimes I feel more confused than before. You laugh when nervous, cry when joyful, and sleep when sad. How does your species survive such emotional chaos? Daniel smiled faintly. Because we have each other. Thalna frowned, processing his words. Connection is stability. A fragile but efficient system. That's one way to put it, he said with a grin. The next day came faster than either expected. The Varel delegation filled the large hall, their silver-blue skin reflecting the ceiling lights. Thalna stood at the podium, while Daniel waited off to the side, silently cheering her on. Greetings, kin of Varel, Thalna began in her native tongue, her translator echoing softly in English for the humans. I have lived among humans for several lunar cycles. I have studied their ways and found them illogical, yet strangely effective. Several aliens murmured in confusion. She continued. Humans express trust through shared space. They build comfort around objects, beds, chairs, blankets that have no biological purpose. They smile to disarm tension even when in pain. They value sound and rhythm to heal emotional wounds. Daniel watched her with pride. She sounded calm and wise, her voice echoing like music. But most of all, Thalna said, humans are fragile creatures who choose to keep living. Their strength is not in their bodies but in their hearts. They survive by believing tomorrow can be better. The hall was silent. Then unexpectedly the Varel delegates began to hum, a sign of deep respect in their culture. Thalna stepped back, visibly moved. After the speech, Dr. Cruz congratulated her. Excellent work, Thalna. That was more powerful than any translation manual. Daniel grinned. Told you you'd do great. Thalna looked at him quietly. I only spoke the truth. That night, however, something unexpected happened. An encrypted message appeared on Thalna's console. It was from the Varel Dominion High Council. Thalna of Varel, the message read. Your continued contact with human subjects has resulted in concerning behavioral deviations. You are ordered to return to Varel immediately for psychological recalibration. Thalna froze. Her heart, or whatever her species had instead, tightened. Daniel saw her expression and asked softly, What's wrong? She hesitated. My people believe I am contaminated. Contaminated? Because you understand us? Because I feel, she said quietly. Varel do not feel. Not like humans, Daniel frowned. You can't let them take you back like that. You belong here. She looked at him with unreadable eyes. Belonging is a human word. The next morning, Thalna was gone. Daniel woke to find her bed perfectly made, her things neatly packed away, and only her star-shaped charm left on the desk. His chest felt hollow. He ran to the docking bay and saw her standing by the shuttle ready to depart. Thalna, he called out. She turned, surprised. You should not be here. I'm not letting you leave without saying goodbye. Thalna looked down, struggling to maintain her calm expression. Daniel, my presence here endangers the agreement between our species. The Council fears emotional influence. Go what? You're not some experiment, you're my friend. She blinked rapidly. Friend? Yes. That is what makes this difficult. Then don't go, Daniel said firmly. Stay, we'll explain. Dr. Cruz can— Humans resist their governments easily, she interrupted softly. Varel do not. Daniel's voice broke slightly. I thought we were helping each other understand. You have helped me understand too much, she whispered. Now I am no longer Varel enough, and not human either. The shuttle's engines powered up, casting bright blue light across the bay. Daniel stepped closer, desperate. You said humans survive because we believe tomorrow can be better. You believe that too. Her violet eyes shimmered. Perhaps I still do. That is why I must go. If I return and tell them what I've learned, maybe one day they will understand as you do. He wanted to argue, but he saw the resolve in her eyes. As she boarded the shuttle, Thalna turned one last time. Keep the charm. It protected me once. Perhaps it will protect you now. The door closed and the shuttle lifted off, disappearing into the blackness of space. Back in their now half-empty room, Daniel sat on his bed and stared at the charm in his hand. It felt warm, as if holding the last trace of her presence. He whispered to the empty room. Maybe belief really is a kind of science after all. Outside the window, a faint glimmer crossed the stars, the trail of Thalna's ship vanishing beyond the moon's shadow. Daniel didn't know if he'd ever see her again, but deep down he believed she would return. Because if there was one thing both humans and Varel had in common, it was curiosity, and Thalna's curiosity was endless. Weeks had passed since Thalna had left Lunar Habitat 12. Daniel had returned to his work, but something essential was missing. The small dorm room felt empty, despite the repaired ceiling and functioning lights. He still held the star-shaped charm she had left behind, turning it over in his hands as if it could bring her back. Then, one day, the communications console blinked with an incoming secure transmission. The screen lit up with a Varel insignia. Thalna, Daniel whispered, nearly holding his breath. The video flickered, and there she was. Silver skin gleaming, violet eyes sharp, yet softer than he remembered. Daniel, she said, her voice calm but urgent. I have returned for a critical mission. The Varel Dominion faces an unprecedented crisis, and you are essential. Daniel leaned forward. What kind of crisis? An unidentified energy surge threatens interspecies colonies on Mars and Luna, she explained. The Council believes it may be artificial. I cannot investigate alone. Your knowledge of human systems and your analytical abilities are needed. Daniel's pulse quickened. Then let's save the day. The next morning, Daniel joined Thalna on the shuttle. She piloted with precision, weaving through the moon's orbit with a confidence that impressed him. Your shuttle systems are remarkable, he said. They are based on Varel technology, optimized for speed and efficiency, Thalna replied. You humans value redundancy. I value precision. Together we may succeed, Daniel smiled. I'm glad you returned. Her eyes softened for a moment. And I'm glad I did. As they approached Mars' orbit, the energy anomaly appeared on their sensors. A swirling, shimmering field of blue and silver light. Hovering above the Valles Marineris, it pulses, Daniel said, studying the readings. And the frequency seems biological, almost like it has intent. Thalna nodded. I concur. The patterns resemble neural transmissions. Daniel's eyebrows rose. So, it's alive? Possibly, Thalna said. Or artificially intelligent. Either way, it reacts to presence and energy output. Daniel shivered. Great. We're about to meet a giant alien AI storm thingy. Thalna tilted her head. Informal terminology detected. Hazardously casual. Yet understandable. They descended to a nearby research station, which had been evacuated in preparation for the anomaly. Robots and drones hovered, scanning the surrounding area. We must approach cautiously, Thalna warned. Any excessive energy discharge could destabilize local habitats. Daniel adjusted his suit. Got it. Let's make friends with the storm. The anomaly loomed before them, shimmering like liquid crystal. It pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat. Daniel noticed that the field reacted to their movements, brightening when they moved faster, dimming when they slowed. It's aware of us, Thalna said quietly. Daniel swallowed. And we're aware of it. Great mutual understanding. Thalna didn't answer immediately. She extended her hand toward the anomaly, and a soft wave of energy pulsed outward. The light changed, forming shapes vaguely resembling creatures from Earth folklore. dragons, phoenixes, whales. Daniel gasped. It's beautiful. Yes, Thalna agreed. It mimics what it perceives as significant or emotionally impactful. I think it is. Learning from us. Over the next few hours, Daniel and Thalna worked together, using a combination of human intuition and Varel technology to communicate with the anomaly. Daniel used sound patterns and rhythmic signals, while Thalna projected energy pulses calibrated to alien neural frequencies. Slowly, the anomaly's erratic movements stabilized. It shifted its colors into a calm, steady glow, almost like it was nodding in recognition. You did it, Daniel said, grinning. We tamed the alien storm. Thalna shook her head, a small smile on her face. We did not tame it. We communicated. That is an important distinction. Humans often believe control is mastery. I have learned otherwise from you. Daniel felt a warmth in his chest. Guess that's what humans are good at, building connections. She looked at him, her violet eyes reflecting the anomaly's glow. And you humans are not entirely wrong. Connection may be your greatest strength. Suddenly, the anomaly pulsed violently, throwing them off balance. Daniel and Thalna clung to the shuttle as a surge of energy washed over the canyon. This is not aggressive, Thalna observed. It reacts to fear and hesitation. We must remain calm. Daniel took a deep breath, remembering her earlier lesson about human resilience. He focused, projecting steady signals through the suit's interface. Thalna matched the energy pulses, synchronizing perfectly. Slowly, the anomaly's waves softened, returning to the calm glow. They had survived the first test. After the anomaly stabilized, Thalna turned to Daniel. Your instincts, your empathy, they guided our success. Varel training could never have achieved this alone. Daniel scratched his head, feeling a mix of pride and humility. So, humans aren't useless after all? Thalna's smile was faint but genuine. Far from it. You may be the reason our species learns to trust others outside our kind. Daniel felt a warmth he had not experienced in months. The same feeling he felt when she had first shared the pillow, when she had first smiled at his small jokes. Thalna, he said softly, I don't want you to leave again. She blinked slowly. And I too am reluctant. But my people will allow me to remain if I can demonstrate that humans contribute to interspecies stability. Well, Daniel said, looks like we just did that. Thalna tilted her head. Yes, you contributed more than I could quantify. A few days later, the anomaly was fully integrated into the Varel monitoring system. It acted as a self-learning environmental regulator, preventing future energy surges and protecting human and alien habitats alike. Dr. Cruz sent a message praising their work. This is unprecedented. Daniel Parker and Thalna have not only averted a disaster, but created the first successful human-alien joint initiative of this scale. Daniel and Thalna stood side by side, looking out at the Martian horizon. You know, Daniel said, breaking the silence, I never thought a bed could cause so much confusion and then lead to all this. Thalna's violet eyes twinkled. Perhaps it was never about the bed. It was about understanding. The bed was merely a symbol, a reminder that humans find comfort in connection. Daniel smiled, holding up her star-shaped charm. Connection. Guess some lessons take a lifetime. She extended her hand, gently brushing against his. And yet, some lessons arrive exactly when they are needed. Daniel felt the bond between them, not just as roommates or colleagues, but as beings who had learned to trust and understand each other across worlds. The shuttle lifted off Mars, returning them to lunar habitat 12. This time, the corridors felt alive with possibility. Their partnership was no longer just academic. It was proof that human ingenuity, courage, and compassion could be the bridge between species. Thalna smiled as she stepped into their quarters. I think I understand human beds now. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Do I even want to know? They are for resting, for dreaming, and perhaps for feeling alive, she said softly. Breeding is not necessary for purpose. That is your truth. Daniel laughed, the sound echoing against the walls. You finally got it. Thalna tilted her head, violet eyes soft and reflective. Yes, and perhaps I have finally learned the value of human presence as well. Daniel grinned. Welcome home, roommate, she nodded. Home, I understand now. Thank you, Daniel. As the stars of the lunar night twinkled outside, they settled onto their respective beds. This time the beds were just what they were meant to be, a place of rest, safety, and shared understanding. No misinterpretations, no fear, only trust and friendship that crossed the stars. And for the first time, Thalna allowed herself to dream not as a Virel, not as a scientist, but as someone who belonged somewhere. Finally, Daniel glanced at her, the charm resting between them on the desk, and whispered, "Welcome home indeed." The room was quiet, peaceful, and filled with the warmth of connection. And in the vast emptiness of space, two unlikely friends had proven that humanity, its curiosity, courage, and empathy, could thrive anywhere.